Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to review on the team of the season, Barella. We're going to go through the card, assist, stats, clips and summary, as well as the grind requirements for you guys to get your hands on him. Before we get into all of that, if I could ask you guys to please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and that bell so you don't want to upload, and comment down below if you're going to be completing this card. And now, let's get into the video. So guys, the team that I used Barella and I played him in the DM spot in that 4-2-3-1. And overall guys, my first impressions of this card, I know I keep saying this every week, but this is easily the best free card we've had yet, and I really love this card. Actually guys, I think this could be a first teamer in a lot of squads, but let's just get into the review. Barella, 5'9", medium high work rates, right footed, 3-star skill moves, 4-star weak foot, 3 games played, 3 goals scored and 2 assists. Now guys, the only thing I'm going to say that's bad on this is the skill moves. I wish that was 1-star higher for you skillers out there. The fact that I've only played 3 games, guys, should tell you how well he's done for me. I've got so many clips from those 3 games that I really am able to just put together a really nice video for you guys. So he's done fantastically for me in those 3 games. The work rates are fantastic as well for a DM spot. In terms of the player details, guys, there's 2 chemistry styles you could look at here. The first one is, of course, a shadow. That helps his pace and his defending, especially if you're going to play him deep in the DM position. The second one is the gladiator, and that actually I think will take his stats to above 90 plus in all of the stat categories. We'll see that more in the summary. Overall, I think those 2 are the 2 that you should be looking at for this card, which leads us into the attribute details, guys. Now, the key pros of the card. First of all, guys, his passing range is ridiculous. And although he's only got 4-star weak foot, it feels like a 5-star weak foot when you're passing the ball with this card. His range is phenomenal. And you're going to see that in the clips as well. Some of the left foot pings he was coming out with, I could not believe what he was doing. Absolutely phenomenal in that regard. His dribbling's pretty tight as well for a 5'9" player as well. Quite small. He does move reasonably well. He's able to dribble past opponents quite well too. So does a good job of that as well. His tackling stats are good, as well as his physicality stats. His jumping's a little bit low, but because he's so small, heading doesn't really matter as much on this card. It's more on the ground, more playing with the feet, of course. So that's where this card really does come into his own. In terms of the other pros of the card, guys, in general, he's very good at everything. And one other thing just to mention as well, guys, is his acceleration is actually very good. It's 93, and it's good to see that acceleration being higher than that sprint speed because it allows you to burst off the mark better with this card. In terms of the cons, the only thing I would say, guys, which particularly is important if you're going to play him deeper in that midfield position, is the defensive awareness is a little low. You could boost that further with a shadow, with a different chemistry style. However, I think 90 defensive awareness with the gladiator is perfectly fine, and especially because you can use this card box to box, given his general capabilities, I do feel like this is a fantastic card. In terms of the player traits, no traits for this card. But now that we've covered all that, let's get into what the grind requirements are for you guys to get your hands on him. Alright guys, so getting into Tots Barella's requirements, and the first one is a golazzo, score 3 goals outside of the box. The next one is assist 4 goals using CMs. The next one is score 15 goals in the friendly game mode. The next one is win 8 matches, and then the last one is score using Italian players in 12 separate matches. Now guys, the only one I would say is a real drag is actually this one here, the score with Italian players in 12 separate matches. Now guys, you have to really be careful with this. What I would recommend is when you're building your teams, make a front 4, front 5, however you line up with your team, make sure that they're all Italian, because if you don't get goals with Italian players and your opponent quits, it won't count for much if you've already got the wins. So just do bear that in mind, guys, that you want to get the Italian goals more over everything else. The wins will come the more goals you score as well. The other thing just to bear in mind, guys, is that the outside of the box goals do not need to be scored by a midfielder. I made this mistake initially. It just needs to be outside the box with anyone. So whether it's your wingers, strikers, midfielders, whoever it is, good to do that as well. The last thing I'll mention, guys, is this one here. It says 4 goals using CMs in the friendly game mode. Now it's important that they are CMs, otherwise of course you won't get the assists. What I would recommend is if you've got a cam in your formation, change them to a CM spot, and that allows you to get those assists whilst basically cheating the system and allowing your player to play further forward. That's the easiest way to do it in my opinion, guys. So when I had the 4-2-3-1, I had Barella in the cam spot. He was a CM playing those passes through, and that counted as the assist for me. So that's a little trick for you guys there as well, just to complete this a little bit easier. And now that we've covered that, let's get into some of the clips that I got with him. So guys, getting into some of Barella's clips, and what you guys are going to see is his general ability to do all the parts of the box-to-box midfielder you need him to be able to do, and how well he did for me in that CDM spot. Now the first thing we'll get into, guys, is of course his pace. Now his pace is decent actually. And although he doesn't have the best sprint speed in the world, what matters more is he has that quick burst and that acceleration off the mark to be able to catch defenders or keep up with them as well. So guys, I feel like the pace was actually pretty good, and I did enjoy using him in that regard as well. Chasing people down, hunting the ball down as well with him was very fun too. The next thing we'll get into, guys, is his dribbling. Now, his dribbling is pretty decent. The agility is the lowest of those stats, and although that is the case, I really didn't feel like his dribbling was that bad. I felt like I was able to use his dribbling perfectly well, and to be able to do whatever I needed to be able to do with him on the ball as well. An engine would probably be a good chemistry style for him as well. However, I don't feel like it's really necessary. I feel like the agility was fine. He was able to maneuver out of tight situations well, and bring the ball upfield too. With relative ease. The next thing we'll get into, guys, is his defending. Now, his defending is okay, guys, too, without a stat boost. With the stat boost, is a lot better. Now, what I would say is okay and not brilliant about it is his defensive positioning. You need to boost his defensive positioning, otherwise he ends up a little bit out of place or a little bit not involved in the defending side of things, and that can lead to you feeling a bit short in midfield. With the right defensive awareness, he positions himself beautifully. His tackling, interceptions, and all of that stuff is already so fantastic, so boosting that even further will just make him that much better of a card when he's able to defend with that level of capability as well. Which leads me into the physicality element of this card, and his aggression and strength are very good. His jumping isn't the best, but aggression, strength and stamina are all really great, especially for a card that's this small. He's able to be really aggressive on the ball, and get out at defenders, chase them, get out as attackers, chase them down, and make sure that no attacks get through easily or past him that easily. The next thing we'll get into, guys, is his passing. Now, his passing range is absolutely sensational, and you've seen a couple of the passes he's made for me, guys. I didn't boost his passing at all, and I don't think some of these passes, they aren't easy passes to make, the ones that he's making. So overall, guys, I really did love how good his passing stat was, and it made things so much easier to start the attacks from deep in the midfield, in the base of that midfield, and then to start off attacks from there, or play the long passes like this one. I mean, that's ridiculous, that ball, to be able to play that, so I loved that about this card. And the final thing we'll get into, guys, is his shooting. Now, his shooting is decent. I do feel like it needs a bit of a helping hand as well, hence the gladiator chemistry style. I feel like his finishing will be a little bit poor without that boost to it. Now, you may not want him to finish that often. You may want him to be your more defensive midfielder, in which case you probably don't need to boost the finishing. However, if he is going to be box to box, his finishing does need a bit of a helping hand, as does his shot power. Long shots will not get a boost in the gladiator, unfortunately, but at least with this one you'll be able to get more chances in or past the keeper as well. These final few clips are just going to show you the 3 goals I scored with them, guys. Now, the first one, of course, relatively simple, a penalty that I scored with him. The next one, a worldie from outside the box with a lovely finesse shot there. And this final one, again, lovely finesse from outside the box, just in the top corner. The keeper doesn't even move for this one. How's this for a ping? So, guys, getting into Nicolo Barella's final summary here. Doesn't cost you anything, of course, just your time to grind out this card. Of course, the stats, I did think all of the stats in general were very decent. I think his dribbling is very good, guys, and actually he doesn't need that much of a helping hand on it. The agility you can manage without as well. The acceleration, very good as well. Physicality, very nice as well. Apart from that jumping, of course, but given his size, you don't really need it that much. The chemistry style I'm going to recommend for you guys. Now, first of all, if we just look at the shadow, you can see what that does to him. Brings the defensive awareness up to 90, which I think is good enough on this card, and takes the pace up, of course, to a fantastic level as well. The one I'm going to recommend, though, guys, is, of course, the Gladiator. Now, what that does is it takes him to Goretzka gang, 90 plus in every stat category, which is absolutely fantastic, especially for a free card. This is absolutely brilliant, guys, and it really does give you the most well-rounded skill set. Allows you his finishing to get a little better, shot power as well gets a lot better. All of that stuff that is actually important about this card and what you want to make better, other than the long shots, I think this chemistry style does the works for it. So that's what I would be recommending for you guys. In terms of similar players, Joshua Kimmich is a very good shout. I do think Kimmich is slightly better than this card defensively. Going forward, I do feel like Barella can have the same level of output, but isn't quite as good as this Kimmich. But certainly in terms of play style, in terms of stature, in terms of size, in terms of how they play on the pitch, very similar to Joshua Kimmich in there. In terms of linkability, guys, some fantastic linkability. Perfect links, of course, to that Bastoni Future Stars card. Strong links to other Inter Milan Team of the Season cards like Lukaku and Martinez, Italian players in Serie A like Lorenzo Insigne, and then of course Italian icons in there, of which there are many. Look at all these cards that have come out, guys. Some really fantastic cards. Inter players in there, of course, as well. So really lovely linkability for all of that too. Which leads me into the final recommendation, because there is no price comparison on this card, guys. If you can fit this guy into your team, and you've done a Serie A team from the start, and there have been a lot of good players to fit him in with, this card is really, really good. And actually, guys, I think he can be a starter in a lot of Serie A teams. He can even be a starter over a lot of icons, and I mean that very seriously. Take this card seriously and have a look at it for your teams, because honestly, guys, for a free card, this is very overpowered, very capable, and able to do a job in that midfield that few midfielders can do as well as he can, considering, again, that he is free. The only one I could really think that outdid him on every level at his own game would have been Kimmich. Otherwise, guys, the very individualistic playstyle of this card, I think he plays better than Philip Lahm, for example, in that DM spot. So for me, guys, absolutely fantastic card. Go ahead, grind this card out, and if nothing else, again, all these high rated cards are fantastic fodder for uses in the SBCs later on in the week. Hope you guys did enjoy this review. If you did, please do smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. It does help the channel grow. Thank you all again, and I will see you all in a bit.